Yeah, that'll get you fired up. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel. We're going to take you up to lock, and then we're going to take you through lock if all goes well here. We got a little itty-bitty slate, little three-gamer here. Game's kind of spaced out this afternoon, but happy to be joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got one, Mr. TJ Zwarich. What's up, TJ?
Ready to talk some day baseball. Only a 3-game slate, but we got some decent, some okay pitching options, and we got some decent offenses today. So for a 3-game slate, it's actually pretty fun. And then going to be back on Grinders Live with Dean a little later for the evening slate. So fun day of baseball ahead of us.
Yeah, we got a full day. Of course, we've got the Crunch Time rolling now. We will have another one for the evening slate before that lock. And we got the Iceman in the house. Keith Eister. It's been a minute, bud. How are you?
Yeah, been a minute. Good to be back on with you guys. Little 3-gamer here, but fun slate. Like TJ said, got some pitching. I think all offenses are in play, so enough choices, I think. 3-game slates, it's always hard to find a way to be a little bit different, but we've got some options here today, I think.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm excited to kind of walk through it. I should note, guys, make sure you're signing up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't done so. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's a lot of money. I highly recommend you do it in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. So make sure you are taking advantage of that offer from our sponsor, FanDuel. And make sure you're hitting us with a little thumbs up as well. It's a simple little thing we ask for. The show is free. You just pay us with a little thumbs up, a little subscribe button. That's it. Let's kind of dive into this. TJ, I will give you the floor, and you can either jump right into pitcher or you can kind of give me an overview. Your call.
Yeah, we'll start with pitcher because we got the time, so we'll dive into each thing individually and spend a little bit of time with each spot here. And at pitching, I kind of like the idea of paying down today. We got some options up top like Aaron Nola, who is a great pitcher, but in a tough matchup. Taj Bradley, great strikeouts, not a very long leash, in a great matchup going up against Oakland, even though they've been playing really well lately. And then Tyler Wells, another pitcher who's been playing very well, but in a tough matchup today. Weirdly enough, so this isn't a cash game play. For cash, I think you're probably going with Nola and Taj Bradley today. But I really like Paul Blackburn. I really like the idea of going Paul Blackburn for tournaments and spending down today, getting myself a little Yusei Kikuchi. I think Ryan Nelson is the only pitcher on the board that I have no interest in playing today. I'm only playing one lineup. If I was playing 150, I would X Nelson and then I'd be playing all the rest. But playing one lineup today, I think I'm interested in, as my cat comes and says hello, as playing one lineup, I think that's going to be my way of getting different today, is rolling out some Paul Blackburn.
Okay, that is a way of getting different. I saw Ice's face kind of like, oh, okay, we're going there. Ice, is that fully insane, or are you kind of on board with that?
It's a 3-game slate. I don't think it's fully insane. I was not expecting a Paul Blackburn take off the top from TJ. I will say that.
Off the hop. Let's get it.
So talk to me about your pitcher thoughts here, and both, if you don't mind specifying, for both FanDuel and DK.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar on both sites. Outside of, we obviously have to play 2 on DK, so it's even harder to get weird. I think Blackburn makes a lot of sense on DK, where there's so much ownership going to Bradley and Nola. And I mean, that makes sense. Nola's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He has a tougher matchup, though, and maybe tougher than people realize. Arizona has actually struck out less than anybody in MLB against right-handed pitching. Nola has had a couple really good games, but he's also struggled a little bit this season. So the matchup against Arizona is not one that I love. So I'm also looking to try to get away from Nola a little bit in tournaments. Taj Bradley, we love the matchup with Oakland. They finally lost the game for the first time in like 10 days yesterday. But Bradley has elite strikeout stuff. He's got a 33% strikeout rate on the season. Oakland still strikes out plenty, second highest against right-handers in all of baseball. So Bradley, you're not going to get 100 pitches from, which does cap his ceiling a little bit, but I think you can make up for that with the strikeouts. So Bradley is the guy
Can I interject there on the pitch count for Bradley? Is this a scenario where if he's pitching well, like I see his projected pitch count is at 84, like is this if things are going well, they're going to let him go? Or does he just have like a hard ceiling that probably means not 90?
Yeah, Tampa Bay is one of the most conservative teams in the league with pitchers' pitch counts, especially young pitchers. Bradley is certainly that. He's a rookie. He's been really good this season, but they manage their pitching. I don't think there's any possibility of getting 100 pitches out of him.
Interesting. Okay.
90, 95 is maybe possible, but it's more than likely you're getting like 85 to 90.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but keep rolling through the rest of the pitchers.
Just to finish up the thought on Bradley, I think he does have the upside because of the matchup and because of that strikeout rate. Tyler Wells has been really good this season. It is a very difficult matchup against Toronto, another team that doesn't strike out very much. I think that's where I'm going to get away from Nola. So on FanDuel, I think you just play Bradley. He's very clearly the top play on the slate for me. On DK, I want Bradley as well, just chasing the strikeouts. And then to get away from Nola, it's Wells or Blackburn are the only options. Nelson, I'm not interested in. Just not enough strikeout upside. Has a very tough matchup against Philly. They line up well against him. Blackburn doesn't have an easy matchup either. Tampa Bay has been the best offense in baseball, but they do strike out more than Toronto. So I totally get TJ's angle. You save a little bit of money by going Blackburn over Wells. Also, Wells has just been a little bit better pitcher. Hopefully, or at least in my lineup, I'm hoping to find a little bit of strikeout variance here today. He's not going to strike out 9 Blue Jays, I don't think. But if I can get 6, 7 clean innings and 6 or 7 strikeouts, that might be enough on this short slate.
Okay, very good. Let's talk about the bats, Ice, and you can lead us off in that category. It does seem like, Tampa Bay can hit, Toronto can hit, Baltimore. There's some teams out there.
Yeah, there's some options. A couple teams have totals near 5. Tampa Bay was over 5, now down to almost exactly 5. So highest team total on the slate for them going against Blackburn. It's just their offense is so talented. But there's no stars in the lineup. I would qualify Franco as a star, but outside of that, it's just a bunch of really good, solid role players. So it'd be a full stack for me on Tampa rather than trying to find one-offs for them. My favorite stack on the board is Baltimore. We didn't talk much about Kikuchi. He's certainly in play on this slate. I'm guessing that TJ didn't talk about him much because he is also on Baltimore. They just Baltimore is a really good offense as well. I love the way their 2 outfielders, in particular, Austin Hayes and Anthony Santander, set up against him. Kikuchi has a home run problem. He's given up over 2.4 home runs per 9 this season. And his strikeouts have been way down. His strikeout rate is below 23%, which is about league average. He has gotten the walks under control, but he still has that home run problem. I think Baltimore has the most upside on the slate for me. Worst pitcher on the slate is probably Ryan Nelson. So that puts Philly very much in play. Love the 2 big lefties there in Schwarber and Harper. And then JT Realmuto has just been on absolute fire here recently. So really like the Philly bats. Those are my top 3. I think that you can literally stack all 9 teams on this slate, or 6 teams rather. And I think stacking, using a hitter or even 2 hitters against your pitcher, in particular, if I was using Kikuchi, that is the matchup I would target to do that. So use 2 Baltimore hitters and then still throw Kikuchi. I would need to be making probably 50 lineups to do something like that, but I think it's very much in play on the short slate.
Okay, and then pitcher wise, you said you might kind of fade the guy on the top, and if we could go back to pitcher, I think Nola. His name. Nola. So are you interested in stacking against him, or do you feel like you get enough leverage if you're just not as high as the general field owning him?
So I wouldn't do a full stack against him. He's an outstanding control pitcher, one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't mind a 3-man stack against him would be completely fine. I would be targeting the Arizona lefties first against them, but I don't love it as a full stack, but definitely individual hitters. And I would go as high as a 3-man stack.
Okay, very good. TJ, what are your thoughts on the bats here? I feel like you got more hot takes coming for me. I don't know. I just got that feeling.
For what it's worth, I actually do like Kikuchi today. I'm leaning on my DraftKings lineup, I'm leaning towards playing double paying down and going Kikuchi and Blackburn so I can stack up Philly and Toronto, because Philly is going to be my favorite stack on the slate. And I think number 2 would be either Baltimore or Toronto. I like Kikuchi because he has the ability to strike lots of guys out, but he also could give up 4 or 5 home runs to these Baltimore guys today. So Toronto and Baltimore come in number 2 and number 2A and 2B essentially. Yeah. If I were playing more lineups, I would have a lot of interest in stacking up Arizona just because they're really good and not many people are going to be doing it. Only playing one, I don't think I'm going to be getting there, but I don't hate that idea. Both of these teams in the Tampa Bay and Oakland game are probably my least 2 favorite stacks on the slate. But I agree with Keith. Like, you can stack every team. There's not a team on the slate you can't stack. But having said that, I think Tampa Bay and Oakland are going to be my least favorite too, which is a little bit surprising because Tampa has the highest. They have the highest total on the slate. Yeah. But Blackburn's been pitching well. Oakland in general has just been playing very well lately. It's a pitcher's park. I believe you noted in the weather report there that the wind is blowing out there, but it is still a really big park. And so I think those are still my least 2 favorite stacks on the slate.
Okay. And for what it's worth, wind blowing out in Oakland is that's the prevailing wind. So it's almost always like a 10-mile-per-hour wind blowing out in Oakland. So it's not anything too exciting or special. Okay, very good. Let's go around the horn, do a little position by position. And TJ, you can start with some catcher talk. And I believe we got Rutch Dog because we got Baltimore on the slate, right?
Yep, we sure do. And I am $100 away from the lineup I want. That's just always so disappointing when that happens.
Frustrating.
Yeah. But we'll adjust. We'll figure it out, and we'll move on with our lives. We'll get over it. At catcher today, Rutschman is probably the top play on the slate if it's not Real Muto. I think Real Muto is a cash play, but he's going to pick up a ton of ownership. I think Rutschman's the top tournament play as like a direct pivot off of him. But my favorite is probably to save some salary and go with a guy like Danny Jansen as a pivot off of Real Muto instead. And then if you do want to all-out punt, I think my favorite way to do that is a 2.4K Carson Kelly.
Okay. Ice, your thoughts?
Yeah, Real Muto and Rutschman are going to be the top 2. I will note that Rutschman has a lot more power from the other side of the plate when he's batting left-handed. So he'll be turned around facing Kikuchi from the right side. He's still a very good hitter, don't get me wrong, but the power is much better from the other side. So I like the pivot to Real Muto. He's getting a ton of ownership as well. If I'm going down, I think James McCann is an outstanding way to make your Baltimore stacks a little bit different today. So fading Rutschman in a Baltimore stack, playing McCann. Langoliers is a guy that has power just as a one-off. There are a couple Oakland bats and Bradley is another guy that I don't mind trying to find a home run against him. There's 2 hitters in particular that I'll make sure to mention. But Langoliers as a cheap catcher with power is certainly in play also.
All right. How about first base, Ice?
All right. So Harper is first base eligible on Fanduel, and I absolutely love him today. Fantastic matchup against Ryan Nelson, probably the worst pitcher on the slate. Vlad is obviously a fantastic option. Yandy Diaz has been very good this season. And one of those Oakland lefties that I love using, even in my Bradley lineups, is Ryan Noda here at first base. Super cheap. He's very patient, so he walks a ton, but he does have power as well. Love playing Ryan Noda, even in lineups I'm playing Taj Bradley.
TJ, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, I agree. Bryce Harper is the top play on the board today on FanDuel where you can play him. On DraftKings, I do like Vlad. I think he is priced cheap enough that even though he hasn't been hitting with crazy power like we've seen him do in the past, 5.2K is still cheap enough for him that I don't mind getting there. In tournaments, if I'm choosing between him and Yandy Diaz, I would go with Vlad Guerrero Jr. on that one. 4K is just on DraftKings is always just too cheap for Christian Walker. I don't know why they never price him up. FanDuel started to price him up a little bit, but still 3.3 over there is way too cheap for a guy of his caliber. And then in tournaments to pay down, I really do like Cody Clemens.
Okay, how about second base?
Pretty ugly position today. Bryson Stott, I think, is probably my favorite. He's 4-2 on DraftKings. He's 3K on FanDuel. I think he's probably the best guy at both positions. If I'm not going with Stott, I kind of want to pay all the way down to Biggio, and those are the only two guys I really like there, unless I'm doing a contrarian Arizona stack, then you just want to include Marte.
All right. Ice?
Yeah, Stott is I would say the optimal option, price considered. I do like Marte as one of the guys I'm playing against Nola. Ramon Urias in the Baltimore lineup, he's up to the 5th hole today. He was really good against lefties last season, not quite as good this season against them, but I still like that he has the platoon advantage. He's in the 5th spot, so very much in play. Ramon Urias as well, and then Taylor Walls has actually been showing some life here lately for Tampa. Don't mind him either.
How about third base?
All right, so third, Urias is eligible at third as well. Yandy Diaz, who we mentioned at first, is eligible at third. Matt Chapman has been incredible this season. Certainly like him. Wells is a guy who gives up power to both sides of the plate. And then Gunnar Henderson has been just absolutely on fire recently. He's lefty, and he has not been good against lefties, but it's a small slate. I'm willing to play anybody as a way to differentiate Baltimore stacks, include some Gunnar Henderson.
Okay. TJ, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, I love the Matt Chapman call. He started the season so wildly hot, and then he cooled right down, and now he's finally starting to pick it back up again. He hit a home run the other day, and he's just seems like he's going 2 for 4 every single game recently. So I'm hoping they fix this spot in his lineup and change him from batting 6th to 4th or 5th sometime soon. But even today, batting 6th, I do still like him. Alec Boehm is somebody that I don't mind. The Ramon Urias call. Again, I like him, but I'm playing Kikuchi in my main lineup today. And so I just, not that you can't play a hitter against your pitcher. It's a 3-game slate. You absolutely can. I'm just doing one that correlates my lineup a little bit better. So I think Chapman would probably be my favorite here as a pay up. And then if I need to spend down Ramon Urias, it would probably be the next guy there. Like on FanDuel, we're seeing nearly 50% ownership to Yandy Diaz at 3.7K, while Matt Chapman gets 25%. Like, I would so much rather save $600 and go with Matt Chapman instead of Yandy Diaz.
Okay. How about shortstop?
Bo Bichette, going to be my favorite guy on the board. Trey Turner is super cheap on FanDuel, so I think he's definitely the top option over there. On DraftKings, where Turner is $300 more expensive than Bichette, I definitely still think he's the cash game play. Having said that, I would rather go to Bo Bichette in tournaments at a little bit lower of ownership. There's not that much else. Like Mateo is batting 7th today against Kikuchi. Gunnar Henderson, who Keith mentioned, if you're not playing him at third, you can absolutely play him at short. He's probably where a lot of people are going to go for cash games today, especially on DraftKings. Maybe not as much on FanDuel, where he's priced up at 3,900. Or sorry, that is DraftKings that I'm looking at. He's 3,400 on FanDuel. It's where you get Turner. Not many people are going to play him here. But Bo Bichette's going to be my favorite guy for tournaments.
All right. Ice, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, Turner's price on FanDuel jumps out. Was slumping for most of the season up until recently here. He's been better. Love his matchup today against Nelson. So Turner is the top guy for me, even on DraftKings where he's priced more appropriately. I like Turner. Bichette is obviously outstanding as well, as is Wadner Franco. I think it's a pay-up position unless you're playing Henderson. Mateo is a guy that I think you can include just because of his speed upside, but I would prefer to spend up to the Turner or Bichette Franco range.
Okay. I got an awesome question in from Daryl in the YouTube chat. We will get to that once we go through the rest of the positions. Like, that's a great question. I'm looking forward to talking about it. In the meantime, let's go to the outfield, Ice.
Yeah, outfield, even though there's only 3 games, is still absolutely loaded. I mentioned the Baltimore guys already. Hayes and Santander have both just destroyed left-handed pitching this season. Harper and Schwarber are in an elite spot. So there's 4 just absolutely elite plays. Anything you're doing outside of that, you're going to be different. Maybe the exception of George Springer. He's just a little too cheap leading off for the Blue Jays. The Rays guys are a little bit underowned. Josh Lowe is my favorite guy. He's just had an incredible season. No Rays lineup yet, I don't think. At least I don't have it confirmed. So if he's led off a couple of times, as long as he's up near the top of the order, absolutely love Josh Lowe. Corbin Carroll is my favorite way to pick on Aaron Nola. I mentioned don't love stacking against Nola, but certainly you can play some Corbin Carroll. He's got power and speed upside. Nola is susceptible to the stolen base. So some of these Arizona speedsters are certainly a great way to differentiate your lineup. Pavin Smith, not quite a speed guy. You can look for a home run with him as a one-off against Nola. And then I'm trying to see if the other who's the other stolen base guy I'm trying to think of? Jake McCarthy has a lot of speed as well. Can certainly try to hunt a stolen base off of Nola. Very
good. All right, TJ, your thoughts on the outfield?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Keith said today. I do like, and I think Schwarber and Harper are the two priorities by a very large margin to me. Like, they're going to be picking up a decent amount of ownership today. Anybody can fail on a small game, especially on a small slate, but they're really not going that over-owned. Like, they're kind of comparable to everybody else. I'm sure in some higher dollar stuff, they're going to be more than that, but Schwarber and Harper are my favorites by a fairly wide margin. I do really like Corbin Carroll in tournaments in lineups that you don't have Kikuchi. I like Hayes and Santander in those. And then Dalton Varsho and George Springer are two guys that I'm going to be getting to quite a bit of as well.
Okay. Looking very Dr. Evil-esque as the cat walks across. All right, let's do some home run picks. TJ, tell the people about Spidey Bombs and likes and why they should hit that thumbs up.
Got to hit that thumbs up because this is some free content.
That's free.
Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel.
By Fanduel.
Free. Keep it free. Hit that like button so that we can keep doing it. There's 125 people watching. I want 50 likes so I can give away a Spidey Bomb. Spidey whispers in my ear, and he tells me by using his Spidey sense who's going to be hitting a home run today. 2 days ago worked really well. Yesterday, not so much. Today, we're going to bounce back, and the Spidey Bombs are going to be popping. So let's get us up to 50 likes, and we got a Spidey Bomb for the people. All you got to do, slide your mouse over, click it. If you're watching on your phone, click hide chat, and then the likes pop up, and you can click that like button. So hopefully we'll throw it over to Keith here, and then we need 17 more likes, and people are going to smash that like button right now, and it'll be 50 by the time Keith's done.
Very good. All right, Ice, let's get a home run pick from you. It can be chalky, but we're going to make fun of you. If it's like, if you're like Harper or Schwarber.
Yeah.
But you can, it's your choice. It's fine.
Yeah. Harper and Schwarber are the two very obvious ones. I also love Anthony Santander and Austin Hayes for a home run today. Official pick for the chalky one will be Anthony Santander. I love this spot. I mentioned Cucci's home run problem. And then a little bit off the board, give me Corbin Carroll taking Aaron Nola deep.
Okay, I love it. Very good. TJ, how close are we?
We are at 40, and so we still need 10 more likes for a Spidey Bomb. And so I will say my favorite player to just hit a home run today, the player I think that is most likely to hit a home run on this slate, is going to be Kyle Schwarber. Not an official Spidey Bomb, but he is my priority of the slate. This is the guy that I'm making sure I get in most of my lineups. Keep smashing that like button. We only need about 5 more. I know you guys are going to get there. I trust you. You love us. We love you. The official Spidey Bomb, Bo Bichette. You can find him for plus 600 over on Caesars. I love those odds today. I like him as a contrarian tournament play, and I like him. There's this guy. He is like half in the blinds right now, just fully breaking blinds, half in them, half outside of them, trying to get to this window so he can see out. But Bo Bichette plus 600 at Caesars, the official Spidey Bomb. I do also really like there's a few Jays who have great odds today. A few players in this game who just have great odds today. Austin Hayes plus 525 at Caesars, I think is fantastic. Santander at plus 400 on FanDuel, I still think it's worth it. Varsho at plus 525, love it. Kevin Biggio at plus 900 on Caesars, I think is a really great bet today as well. So that game is definitely my favorite place to target home runs today. And like Gunnar Henderson, yes, he's not great lefty, but they're going to get into that bullpen eventually. And he's plus 625 on Caesars right now to hit a home run. That's stupid for how well he's been hitting the ball. So there's some really great home run odds in that game.
Okay, very good. I should add, make sure you're checking out Scores and Odds. I put in a weather bet today, and on my weather bets, I am hitting them at a 70% success rate. And these are totals. These are not like random props. 70% success rate on totals. And I got a weather bet in for today. So make sure you're checking out Scores and Odds. It's basically all of your RotoGrinders friends and family that you know and love and trust. And we're kind of leaning into the sports betting side of things over there. So make sure you're checking it out. I did get this question that I wanted to get back to. And Ice, I will leave this to you from Daryl. On FanDuel, as a novice player, on a scale of 1 to 5, how important are ownership projections?
So it depends on your contest size, number one. Like, it matters whether you're playing like the super large field tournament that has the majority of the money up top, or if you're playing like 100-person tournament that has an even payout structure. It is always important to find a couple of points of differentiation. I would say it's like, you can't just play the best play. Like today, if you play Nola and a Tampa Bay stack with a Baltimore stack or something like that, it's like you're really, really chalky unless you're doing things like playing the bot. Like, don't just play the best 4 Baltimore hitters. You have to differentiate your lineup. But I would say overall, making sure you have differentiation is the number one most important thing.
Yeah,
I saw that one earlier, and I thought through something, so I'll give a take as well if you
please.
don't mind.
Please.
It depends on your sport as well. So in baseball, on a scale of 1 to 5, if 5 is the most important, it's a 5. It is one of the very most, if not the most important thing in baseball. In football and basketball, while it is important, it's much less important. The next thing is, it's like I said, it's a lot less about the specific player as it is the overall percentage of your team ownership. If you have a couple low-owned guys, you can afford to play the more higher-owned players. If somebody is, especially a batter, is 50% owned in baseball, you can basically always not play them, because in baseball, it's not like basketball where unless he gets hurt, the best player is going to be on the court for 36 minutes and doing something. Even the best players in baseball can go 0 for 4. And so you can always fade somebody at high ownership in baseball. The other thing that really matters, like I said, is contest size. But not only contest size, it's the type of contest you're doing. So if you're in a tournament, it's always better to use those ownership projections as much as you can and play as low owned of a team as you can, especially if you're in something large field. If you're in a cash game, you're just doing something that's a double up. It's 50-50, maybe it's a triple up, something like that. The ownership projections don't matter. Unless you don't know who to play, you can go for somebody who is highly projected owned. You don't want low projected owned players in your cash game. You don't want to be differentiating. If you're in the optimal and it's what other people are doing, that's perfectly fine. You're just trying to finish in the top half. Yeah. So you actually can kind of reverse your thought process for cash games. And if you go, shortstop today, I really don't know who to play, you can just sort it by whoever the highest owned guy is and plug them into your cash game, and you're probably going to be okay.
Okay.
Just to expand on something else real quick, like Kyle, Schwarber and Harper today, super popular. So TJ wants to play those guys. So all he's doing is he's playing Paul Blackburn. Immediately differentiated. Doesn't matter the ownership on Schwarber and Harper because he's playing Blackburn.
Sure. And this goes for bats as well. You can play those two guys, but then play, back of the order stack or something, something different. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That's what I had to end up doing today to get the lineup that I wanted. Is I was 100 away from doing my Toronto and Philly stack, and I liked it so much. I'm a Toronto fan, gonna watch the Toronto game and just cheer for their 5 bats, but I couldn't quite fit it, so I'm doing a 5-man Philly stack and a 3-man Toronto stack, and I had to sacrifice Vlad to make it work. I'm going all the way down to Cody Clemens to make sure I can get my Schwarber and Harper in there.
There you have it. All right. Good stuff, guys. With that, I think we've caught up on all the questions. We have given all the people everything they need to know. All they really need to know is that we're going to be back later on today. We got another crunch time for the evening slate, bigger slate, more games, the same great content here at RG. So make sure you're checking that out. We're going to bounce on out of here. So for TJ, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you later on today. You have been crunched.